Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. The Warriors will need to sign a new center to replace Al Horford, and one of the names being considered is Walker Kesller of the Utah Jazz. The Warriors have been considering Walker Kesller as their best option, especially after failing to reach an agreement on a rookie contract extension with the Utah Jazz. Despite the significant addition of Horford and the positive impact the 39-year-old will undoubtedly have, it's clear that the center position will still cause some headaches for Kerr early in the season. Logically, the Utah Jazz will have to be offered some players, but the main player involved in this negotiation will be Jonathan Kuminga, if they want to land Walker Kesller. The center rotation remains a fascinating talking point for the Golden State Warriors entering the season, particularly after Steve Kerr revealed the decision to limit veteran center Al Horford to around 20 minutes per game. That means the Warriors still have 28 minutes to fill at the 5 spot each game, not to mention the many times Horford will rest completely during the season, including in back-to-backs. With Quinton Post and Tracy Jackson-Davis not wholly taking advantage of their opportunities in preseason, Golden State may have no other choice but to seek an additional big man on the trade market midseason. Warriors' next trade target might have to be another proven center. Kerr also revealed on Saturday that the starting lineup will be fluid, largely because it's difficult to keep Horford to 20 minutes if he's both starting and closing games. That leaves both questions and a sense of concern, something that may only be answered by an alternative option via trade. Post actually had the second most points for Golden State in preseason behind Stephen Curry, but the second-year big man shot just 41.9% from the floor, and there remained enough defensive and rebounding concerns to suggest he's not an obvious starting option. Jackson-Davis had moments of increased impact on both ends of the floor over the final few preseason games, yet there's nothing to suggest that Kerr sees him as anything more than the third center option at this stage. The Warriors will inevitably play Draymond Green at center for considerable small ball minutes, only they'll have to manage the 35-year-old too, and his lackluster preseason form didn't inspire a whole lot of confidence. Having averaged 27.7 minutes with the Boston Celtics last season, there was some hope that the Warriors might extend Horford's minutes out to 25 per game after signing with the franchise on a 2-year, $12 million contract in free agency. This 20-minute per game decision only makes it more obvious that Golden State should be after another center option, and preferably a proven one that could be a starter, which would allow Horford to settle into a sixth-man role. Warriors' secret weapon legitimizing dreams of one last ring. If the Warriors' young core takes a step forward, that seriously increases their chances of winning a championship this season. When talking about the Golden State Warriors and the chances they have of taking home a championship this season, I think the part of the discussion everyone seems to be missing is the possibility that their young core of Tracy Jackson-Davis, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, Brandon Podziemski and Quinton Post could be drastically improved. Star power and external roster additions will always be factors that matter for teams that are serious about vying for a championship. But internal development and role players taking a step up can arguably be just as important when you're a team like Golden State trying to get one last deep playoff run out of your aging core of Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green. The Warriors have a chance for their ceiling to be raised this year if any of these 5 guys reach a new level in their individual development. All of Jackson-Davis, Kuminga, Moody, Podziemski and Post are up-and-comers who haven't reached their respective primes and should thus improve year over year. Conventional wisdom would say that at least one or two of these players should be bound to take a step forward in 2025 to 26. The Warriors' young players could realistically be much better. For Tracy Jackson-Davis, his limited jump shooting and inconsistency on defense have been among the biggest things holding him back from being a more meaningful contributor. Improve in these areas, and we could see his value rise sharply. With Kuminga, we know that growing in his mental discipline, making smarter reads on offense and embracing more of a defined role with this team is going to be key. As for Moody and Podziemski, the focus is going to be more on locking in defensively while becoming increasingly autonomous offensively. If these two can create more of their own high-percentage looks while remaining assets on defense, they're going to see their stock rise as well. Post has spoken about how he worked on getting better at defending without fouling as well as passing in short roll situations over the summer. And we also can't forget the rookie Will Richard, who has already shown flashes and seems to have a strong feel for the game. Basically, there's a ton of room for internal growth as this season gets going, and I think there's certainly potential for several of these guys to be greater difference makers than they were in their first or second season. If that's the way this ends up playing out, Golden State could be an even stronger and deeper team than expected this year. Seth Curry's shocking Warriors cut. Kerr insists he'll be back despite salary cap chaos. This offseason has been anything but ordinary for Seth Curry. The brother of superstar guard Steph Curry found himself lingering in free agency longer than anticipated, creating a wave of speculation around his future. Finally, a sigh of relief came when he secured a contract with the Golden State Warriors. However, the happiness was short-lived. Just days later, he was waived. The news is surprising, leaving many to wonder about the implications as the Warriors prepare for the upcoming season. Understanding the decision to waive Curry. At first glance, Seth Curry's release from the Warriors seems bewildering, but the decision was part of a larger strategy. Throughout the preseason, the Warriors signaled their intentions by not playing him at all, indicating that this was a planned move. It appears that the Warriors faced a pressing financial constraint. Curry's salary exceeded the prorated veterans minimum under the strict guidelines of the new second apron hard cap. This made it impossible for the team to retain him without adjusting their financial commitments. Despite the cut, optimism remains within the organization. The expectation is that Seth will eventually rejoin the team, potentially in November, allowing the Warriors to remain compliant with the salary cap restrictions. Steve Kerr's confidence in Curry's future. Steve Kerr, the Warriors' head coach, has publicly expressed confidence in Seth's situation. "I'm not worried about Seth. He's not worried about it. He's coming along nicely," Kerr reassured fans and analysts alike. His comments reflect a belief that the organization has a plan in place and that Seth's departure is merely a temporary setback. What lies ahead for Seth Curry? As for Seth's immediate future, it remains uncertain. Observers should not expect him to sign with another team in the interim. The Warriors seem to have orchestrated this sequence of events from the outset, likely keeping communication lines open with Curry and his camp. This strategic maneuvering hints that they have a clear timeline for bringing him back into the fold. In an offseason filled with unexpected twists, the situation surrounding Seth Curry's departure from the Warriors stands out. With careful planning and a commitment to their financial strategy, the Warriors aim to navigate the complexities of the salary cap while keeping a talented player like Curry in their long-term vision. Warriors' controversial roster move leaves fans erupting with frustration. The 24-year-old impressed many during preseason. Many fans have been left frustrated by the Golden State Warriors' most recent roster move, with the franchise announcing on Saturday that they are waiving guards Seth Curry and LJ Cryer. Curry's departure was expected with the Warriors managing their payroll and likely to bring the 35-year-old back next month once financially eligible, but the Cryer decision has certainly raised some eyebrows and gone down as a controversial move among the fanbase. Warriors fans are frustrated following the departure of LJ Cryer. After a rough 0-of-6 shooting performance in the preseason opener against the Los Angeles Lakers, Cryer impressed many with his shot-making over the final 4 games that concluded with Friday's 106-103 loss to the LA Clippers. Cryer led Golden State in three-point percentage over the 4-game stretch, minimum 2 attempts, shooting 6 of 11, 54.5%, from beyond the arc while averaging 6.3 points, 1.8 rebounds, and 2.0 assists in 9.8 minutes per game. The 24-year-old also led the Warriors in plus-minus over the last 4 games, finishing as a plus 26, which included playing a pivotal role in last week's stunning fourth-quarter comeback against the Portland Trail Blazers. While Cryer never played legitimate rotation minutes alongside Golden State's veteran players, his shot-making was a refreshing sight to see for a team that has far more connective-type players than they do pure bucket-getters. That's what may have ultimately hurt Cryer and his ability to earn a 2-way contract, particularly given he's 6 feet 0 inches tall and therefore a player who can be targeted on the defensive side of the ball. Jackson Rowe might count himself lucky in retaining a two-way contract, with the 28-year-old averaging just 2.8 points and 2.0 rebounds in his 8.2 minutes during preseason after making 6 appearances for the Warriors last season. Clearly the front office believe Rowe is far more viable as a rotation member in an emergency situation during the season, rather than taking on the more upside option of Cryer. That's probably a fair assumption based on their comparative experience, not to mention the glut of guards on the Golden State roster as opposed to bigger forwards. Rowe will be joined on a two-way contract by Pat Spencer and Alex Tui, the latter of which didn't appear in a single preseason game after being drafted 52nd overall by the Warriors in June's NBA draft. Cryer is now expected to remain with Golden State's G League affiliate in Santa Cruz, but Saturday's decision does leave the franchise vulnerable to another team poaching him if they too were impressed by his preseason form. Will Steph Curry and Steve Kerr retire at the same time? The Golden State Warriors have 4 NBA titles to their name since the 2010s, as well as a pair of finals appearances that resulted in losses, Cleveland in 2016 and Toronto in 2019. At the center of this dynasty has been the pairing of head coach Steve Kerr and NBA legend Steph Curry. While Kerr can relate to Curry, as both were elite shooters during their respective eras, Kerr was nothing more than a role player, with Curry being arguably a top 10 player of all time. However, the two have been attached throughout their careers, and could very well end up hanging it up alongside each other. A port. Could Steve Kerr and Steph Curry retire alongside each other? Not only would Kerr and Curry retiring with each other be a storybook ending to one of basketball's best pairings, but it also makes sense given where the two stand in their careers as of now. ESPN's Anthony Slater recently published a piece about Kerr and his current contract situation, which has him set to expire after the 2025-26 season. Kerr shared that he has no plans on seeking an extension at the time being, expressing his trust in the front office and ownership that they'll get the right thing done. He also alluded to what a potential exit could look like. However, this ends, it's going to be done in a really quality way, Kerr said, according to Slater. It's going to happen the right way. If it's meant for me to keep going, I'm going to keep going. If it's meant to be for the team to move on to someone else, there will be nothing but gratitude and appreciation. This makes it easy for everybody. Let's see where we are at the end of the year. If Kerr wants it to end in a quality way, then why not do it alongside the greatest player he's ever coached? As for the Curry side of things, he could very well decide to hang it up after his contract expires in 2027, when he'll be 39 years old. Regardless, it appears he has no plans of playing in the NBA if Kerr isn't his coach. I don't want to, Curry said in a different piece by ESPN's Slater, addressing if he'd play with a coach other than Kerr. We deserve that, I feel. Things change in this league. We can only control so much. But I think we're in a very unique situation that we deserve the opportunity to ride it out. So, based on Curry's desire not to play under a different coach and Kerr's uncertainty with his future, Golden State could very well extend Kerr one more season, to where he expires at the same time as Curry, opening the door for a joint retirement. It would definitely be a massive change in Golden State, but potentially what they need to usher in a new era. Steph Curry gets good news amid Warriors roster shakeup. The Golden State Warriors waived Seth Curry, the brother of Steph Curry, for salary cap reasons, but are expected to re-sign the veteran sharpshooter soon. According to NBA insider Mark Stein, the Warriors intend to bring Seth back to the fold as early as next month, when they have sufficient financial flexibility. The Warriors, as expected, have waived Seth Curry with the intention of re-signing next month when they have sufficient financial flexibility to bring him back, Stein wrote on X shortly after news broke of the Warriors waiving Seth. The development spells good news for Steph Curry, who expressed excitement about playing next to his brother in the 2025-26 season. The Curry brothers wore each other's jerseys during an open practice session at Chase Center on October 9. Steph Curry will wear number 31. In the lead-up to training camp, Seth joked that he offered money to his older brother to purchase the number 30 jersey, but was turned down. Seth would ultimately reveal his decision to wear the number 31 jersey. I tried to buy it from him, he said he didn't need the money, he said. I don't think the NBA would like that either. Del Curry, the father of the Curry brothers, wore number 30 during his 16-year NBA career, which included stops with the Utah Jazz, Cleveland Cavaliers, Charlotte Hornets, Milwaukee Bucks, and Toronto Raptors. Steph Curry coins nickname. In anticipation of sharing the court with his brother, Steph Curry, on October 9, wrote SC Superscript 2 on X, along with a caption of the duo in Warriors colors. If and when Seth returns to the Warriors, he and Steph will become the 11th pair of siblings to play together on an NBA team. According to ESPN's Anthony Garib, the Curry brothers will join Dominique Wilkins and Gerald Wilkins, Orlando Magic, Justin Holiday and Aaron Holiday, Indiana Pacers, Justin Holiday and Drew Holiday, Philadelphia 76ers, Marcus Morris Sr. and Markieff Morris, Phoenix Suns, Moritz Wagner and Franz Wagner, Orlando Magic, Brooke Lopez and Robin Lopez, Milwaukee Bucks, Zoran Dragic and Goran Dragic, Miami Heat, Evan Mobley and Isaiah Mobley, Cleveland Cavaliers, Caleb Martin and Cody Martin, Charlotte Hornets, and lastly, Giannis Antetokounmpo and Thanasis Antetokounmpo, Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks will soon become the first team with 3 pairs of siblings on the same roster, after signing Alex Antetokounmpo to a 2-way deal. Warriors head coach Steve Kerr is also excited about watching the Curry brothers as teammates. "I think it's awesome," Kerr said earlier in the training camp. "The timing feels right on this. I don't know if the timing was right over recent years, we probably didn't have playing time for him. He was in a place where he was going to teams and playing a lot, making money. And it just feels like they're both at a point in their careers where this makes a ton of sense. I'm thrilled to have Seth and to see the 2 brothers side by side today at our meeting. It was pretty awesome."